All right, so here we are on day number 3. It's Tuesday, January 19th right now, first day of the week on this shortened week. And I'm finishing up with a little winner, very baby winner. I'm making a recap anyway, though, because I was active. And even though I did get really close to locking in a really significant winner today, and I left quite a bit of money on the table, I do actually feel pretty happy about the way this day closed and the way that I behaved within it. And so, despite the pretty measly result, $29.44, 1.16% ROE, that's nothing to get really excited about. However, the behavior that I displayed today was a huge improvement over last week, and I feel for the first time so far in this account like I'm getting closer to being in form. So my first trade today was on a name that you may remember. It's 3D Systems Corporation, this one right here, which I accidentally shorted twice on day one. And this time I didn't accidentally do anything, although I did make a bit of a mistake on it. Now, this move was one that surprised me. It was not on my pre-market watch list. I had to add it quickly, do the research, see if there was any news. There was not news, but I did see that there was a 38% short float, which had interested me last week. And so given the move that it had already made, if you look up on the top left in the 1 minute chart, you'll see it made this move right here. And I noticed that it bounced off 32, which coincided almost exactly with the previous day's high at 32.13. Now that 32.13 spot was also the all-time high, which makes it even more valid for this setup. And so what I was looking for was a high day break above 32. That key 32 spot is what I was watching. And initially, my stop was planned to be 31.25, but I soon moved it up very high, almost as soon as I got in. I got in at 32.15. I was a little bit slow on the entry. The first number I saw was 32.08, and I missed that. This was an entry that I took not with my hotkey, but with my order entry window manually by clicking. And for that reason, I got a little bit of slippage on the entry. Now, almost immediately, 6 seconds later, or 3 seconds later, we were all the way up to 32.50 almost instantly. And I thought, okay, perfect. Here we go to the skies. I'm going to be adding half add-ons like every dollar on the way up. This is going to be great. That didn't happen. I immediately found trouble at 32.50. There was a really big stall in the tape where I knew there was a hidden seller and it didn't look like it was going to break. And I didn't really give it a second. This is what my mistake was. I didn't even give it like a couple of seconds. I think I waited maybe 2 seconds and 350 didn't break and I just hit the bid right then and there. And so I got out at 32.48 and booked a very small win on that one. And I think what's the most important about this trade is that I got out before the top of a long body. So this candle right here on the 1 minute, this is what we're looking at. You can see my entry right there with the green arrow and my exit with the red arrow. And even though like I do kind of forgive myself because, I could have been bouncing off a hidden seller and then coming back down below my stop and just taking a loss for no clear reason. Instead, I decided to just take the small amount of green that I had and reevaluate later. And by doing that, I missed out on possibly as much as another 75 cents in profit. And I didn't get that because I wasn't very patient, and that's my mistake. Now, before I get into the second trade that I took, which was on ACRS, which is the big winner today, I do want to point out that I missed a very good opportunity that I saw coming. I thought it was good. I, realized all the potential to it, and then I just slept on it. By the time the entry came along, I had been looking at something else, and I just got distracted away from it, and because of that, I missed it. So the spot I was looking at was right here on the 5 minute chart, which is what I was trying to focus more on today. It was the 5 minute setups. And I noticed that after a really, really choppy open, you can see up on the 1 minute, it's very choppy, a lot of false breakouts and craziness. I did notice that there was a very clear base forming around 1330, which was also around the VWAP. And you can see these bottoming tails suggesting that perhaps there is a wall down there where somebody's buying and keeping the price propped up. And so I thought, well, I could risk against this 1330 spot and potentially take like quite a few shares. I could get margined by like maybe 2x and take a pretty substantial position at very low risk. And like I said, I missed that opportunity. And sure enough, the next candle did this, which, yes, you can bet your ass that pissed me off. Now, following that entry that I missed, I did stay patient. And that's one thing that I did do pretty well today. My patience was pretty strong. And what I was looking at following that was this right here, what's lined up on the charts. So there was a period of downward consolidation, and you can see me drawing the downward line there. And I was waiting for that line to break / for a new 5 minute high. And as you can see on the next candle, the downward lines that I had drawn did break, and there was a new 5 minute high. I took my entry at 1530, which was just above the previous candle's high. And my primary risk was $15, and my absolute stop, the hard one, was down at the bottom of the low of the previous candle, which was 1467. Now, following my quick reaction on the first trade on DDD, I didn't really want to overreact again on the same type of setup. So on this one, I decided going into it before I even took my entry that I wasn't going to overreact to, the noise. And that is really a bad habit of mine, especially considering I'm used to trading on very fast time frames. I have a tendency to overreact to the level 2 or the tape or something that comes up. And in this situation, I thought, no, I'm going to stick to my guns. And I'm going to make sure that there's enough evidence before I bail out if I think there's a reversal coming. But at the same time, I was very conscious of the fact that this stock was already up 180 something percent. It had already gone through several very clean legs, winding all the way back to pre-market. If we look at when it first started running at 7 o'clock to present at that particular time when I was getting in this trade, I mean, you can see at least 4 legs that resolved pretty cleanly. And so I thought, this is around the time that things are supposed to get dicey and the next leg is not going to be super clean. So what I was looking for in a winning scenario was a very quick squeeze. I wanted absolutely to see a volume reversal and see that volume reversal hold. And so down on the 5-minute chart, you can see the descending volume here on the red candles. And then on this one, on my entry candle, that's the one that broke that pattern and it went back up. So what I wanted to see was from this down, I want to see it going up, and I want to see it going up pretty consistently along with the price. Now, I've blown up the 1-minute chart here so you can get a little bit better idea of what went on. On the bottom there at the volume section, you can see that the volume was indeed ramping up like I wanted. However, if you take a look at the candle, you'll see that we squeezed all the way up to 1575, which was a very quick squeeze, and then came all the way back down to 1521 before closing just barely green. And it kept getting choppy. On the next candle, you can see a bottoming tail form, which is okay by me. I thought, okay, no problem. If you want to bounce around near 1520, that's fine. As long as we stay above 15, I'm pretty comfortable with it. And then we started ramping up again, and I thought, okay, here comes the volume again. We're starting to push back up. And I saw a little bit of support come in on the bid side, and I was feeling good about it. But at the same time, it kept hitting 1560 in this candle. It had a lot of trouble around 1550. And I guess it was the next one when I decided to bail out, because the amount of resistance that I saw coming all the way back up to 1550 multiple times, it just kept hitting 1550, and there would be hidden sellers all over the place around 1550. And I thought, man, before this trade, I just told myself, don't overreact. And I was kind of struggling with the idea of should I just get out now or not. And I decided that, you know what, the writing on the wall is pretty clear here. I don't know why I'm sticking so much to trying to hold this. It's obvious to me that this thing is going to have trouble, and that even though this move might not be over yet, it is going to retrace down to below my entry. And if that's going to be the case, I'd rather just take the money now and then get back in later. And this is the part of this trade and this day that I'm probably the most happy with, is how sure I was about this read. I mean, you can see I exited close to the top. I got it filled at 1564, which I was very happy with when I saw it, because it seemed to me like there was too much pressure on the ask. Like every time we'd get a little bit of a rip, there would be some hidden order that came in and shut it down. And I was like, this isn't the move that I was expecting. I must be wrong about what's going on in this trade. And so I just decided to cut it loose and once again, just reevaluate later. So those two trades put together give us this trade log, which is updated with the 2 from today highlighted there. And it's nice to have something on the green side. But more so, I think that what I'm the most happy about these trades, what I call these trades, first of all, is a profitable failure. You'll hear that term quite a few times over the course of this account and in previous video recaps from my simulator run. You'll hear that a lot. And what I mean by a profitable failure is a trade where I had big plans, whether it's my main goal or my back of mind target. It's a trade where I thought that there could be big things developing, but I did not get there. And then I closed with a disappointing result, but a result that was also in the green. And that's exactly what both of these are. I didn't get the result that I wanted in either of these trades, but I closed them in the green. And that in itself is a bit of a win. Now, as we switch back over to my daily results here for the last time, I'm going to be talking a bit about the account in general and some of the thoughts that I've been having recently. about this account and about my state in like where I'm at in trading. Because I have to admit, I feel very uncomfortable so far in this account. There's so many new things that are surrounding me that I'm not familiar with, and I find myself kind of like in no man's land in terms of how I'm supposed to approach this. And for those of you who know me, this isn't going to be a secret. I talk about this all the time. But if you're a casual viewer, you're just discovering this channel, I'll say that my accounts history plays with me a lot, in that I've always been starting with small amounts and then I end up either with a busted account or with a lot of money in my account. And because the most recent trading activity that I have in my system from late last year in 2020, that activity comes from an account where I had a lot of money, where I was very active. And it seems like, as a viewer, you might be wondering, well, I watched your accounts history video. You've done this multiple times. How come you can't just reset to the early stages? And I gotta say, it's a lot easier said than done. I mean, I had 3 accounts open in 2020, and I still forget what it's like in the beginning, and I have to relearn it every single time. And every single time, there's trouble. And most difficult of all is that these accounts are all being started at different points in history, and the market conditions are all going to be different. So I can't necessarily just reach back to previous successes and use the same answer that gave me the win that time. I have to refigure it out. And something that I realized over the weekend that I didn't even click until I was making a video recently where I needed to dig up some records, and I realized, holy shit, I actually closed my previous live account with 7 losers in a row. So even though right now it looks like I've only had 2 losing days in this account, this is actually 9 losing days in a row before I just today booked a small green result in order to break that streak. And the way I would normally behave in a losing streak is going to be a lot different than I would behave if, I'm getting red and green results, or if I'm getting only green results, or any kind of other combination. All my reactions are going to be different. And the way that I know to correct a losing streak is to drop all the size down, bring the share size down, and just book small winners and bring it back up. And then once I level off, once I stop losing those bigger amounts, then I can start bringing the share size up again. And the other thing that I've been playing with a lot that has actually been the answer in previous accounts is paying attention to the 5-minute chart, which is something I always struggle with all the time. Typically, I'm a 1-minute chart kind of guy because I don't trust the market and I never want to hold for a long time. I always want to be getting in and out quickly, and in order to manage trades on those timeframes, you do have to pay attention to the 1-minute chart. And something that I did in the past where it gave me a lot of success was getting away from the 1-minute chart with small accounts, with a small balance, and paying more attention to longer time frames, being willing to hold longer. And that's something that I just started working on last week, that I realized last week. I mentioned it, I believe, in recap number 2. And then this week I'm kind of following that initiative and trying to get closer to the place that I think I want to be for this account right now. And I think this recap for a day with 2 small trades and net P&L of 2 figures, I think 15, 14 minutes is good enough. So I'm going to cut this one off and save that other stuff for another time. And mainly just, for the rest of the day, I'm planning to get ready for tomorrow is my main thing. Make sure all of my discipline stuff is done. Make sure my patience in other areas of life is holding up. And that I'm displaying the kind of behavior in other areas that I want to see for myself in trading.